What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Real Happy Hour podcast. My name is Ola, I'm your host, and today is a very, very special episode. I've got someone special in the house with me. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Joao. I'm Italian, but I've lived abroad for most of my life. I have a Instagram account called Do the Right Film, where I talk about movies and review them. And I'm also a film student.
Awesome. Before we get really into the conversation of why we're here, what we're talking about, how are you? How is, because obviously you've got an accent, so how are you? And what has your journey been like for you from where you're from and today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm adjusting to London because I moved here a month ago.
Okay.
So it's been a big an adjustment. Well, my journey is complicated because I'm originally Brazilian.
Okay.
And then my family is also Italian, and we've lived abroad for most of my life. So I did high school in China.
Okay.
And then I lived in Scotland for the last 4 years to do my undergrad, and I worked there a little bit as well. And recently, because I used to be a law student, I recently pivoted into arts and started focusing the last 3 years on film.
Okay.
And because of that, I started doing a film account, and now I'm in a film course at a university here. And so I completely pivoted, and that's what I'm thinking of doing in the future. So it's been a complicated journey, both in terms of where I've lived and what I wanted to do with my life, but here we are.
Wow, that's really interesting. I've had a similar sort of pivot in careers, but mine has been the other way around, where I was in the arts and then I moved into the IT space. That's interesting. Very, very, very welcome to the show. So, obviously, I'm also Nigerian. My journey is from Nigeria. I came into the UK to study, and now I live and work here. And I was a line producer. I think that was the most prestigious media role I had back in Nigeria. And then I came to the UK before lockdown, and then lockdown happened. I had to pivot into a different career. But it's been good. The whole journey for me started from journalism, and now it's content production. I want to be a writer, producer, and all of that. And I started this podcast to sort of create a space where I can meet people, network with people, and we can all hopefully create something together. That is the mission statement of this podcast. And through my journey of trying to build my network, I came across you, and that's where I was really intrigued by your profile, your Instagram profile, Do the Right Film, and I was like, oh, okay, I'd like to work with someone like you, and work with you in the sense of I want to create a community, and what community? I want to create a film club community, and that's where I reached out to you, and gracefully you were like, oh, okay, cool, and and here we are now, and for the past couple of months you've not been in London, but now you're in London, and now we can really get the ball rolling and just see how we can do what we can do. And so, first question for you, and obviously it's we're having a conversation. You can ask me anything too. Why was there a pivot into film? Why? What sparked that pivot?
I've always been interested in film, since I was a kid. Obviously, it developed into something more now, but I was always interested. Kids do different things. I mean, kids today have iPads and they play games on it. But for me, as for many other kids in Gen Z, I grew up with the films I saw on television. So I grew up with Pixar and classic Disney, and then I would say DreamWorks kind of popped up in the mid 2000s, and so those movies nurtured some sort of passion for the artistic. But I kind of left it there in the background. And it was 2017-ish when I actually became passionate about watching movies, thinking about movies, and potentially making movies. When films like Lady Bird, Get Out, Call Me By Your Name, Florida Project, all these really beautiful movies came out. And I was like, oh, for the first time ever, I really interacted with that world. And I was like, this art can be beautiful. There's wonderful people making great movies, and so I started thinking about it and going into it and looking at what has been done in the past, old movies from the 50s to the 90s, and since I was 17 to now, it's been this journey of knowing more, learning more and more and more, writing about it, talking to other people about films. And I was anxious though about making that my career, and so I decided to go into a more, a safer, more classical career path in law. And it was only until I was 20, so 2-3 years ago, that I realized that wasn't for me. I still finished my degree, nice. But I pursued something else during my degree, and now I pivoted.
Nice. I'm happy you finished your degree, because as exciting as this media life is, I think it's like finishing your degree is a safe space to follow, because what's this, like a 0.0001% chance of sort of being highly successful in this field? Well, maybe as an actor anyway. I'm not sure about being a producer or a director. Right? It's probably higher chance of making some bit of success with that. That's interesting. Really cool. And I like the list of movies you listed there, because those are some of my favorite movies too. Lady Bird, I've not seen the whole of Lady Bird for some reason, but
Did you not like Lady Bird?
I did like it, but I think I wanted to watch it with my niece, and she wasn't as interested, because I think she was about maybe 11, 12, 13. I just thought this sort of would highlight moments of her life. Like she could just see herself and probably relate, but it was a struggle, and I was like, okay, all right, she's not into it. I guess I'll watch this another time. Obviously, Get Out is a really, really good movie. What's his name? Ryan Paul? No, what's his name?
What, the director of the film? Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. Where did Ryan Paul come from? Jordan Peele. Yes, he's one of my favorite directors too. Did you see his recent movie? What's it called again?
It was Nope, and I adored it. It was great. One of my favorites of last year.
It's really nice seeing horror movies or psychological thrillers starring black people, and I think it's a shift, and we're seeing more of like horror and dark thrillers or comedy. No, not comedy horror, because I think black people will provide comedy horror, but it's nice seeing like directors like Jordan Peele creating content like Nope and Get Out. And then have you seen the Blackening?
Yeah, I'm very excited. When you said horror comedy, I thought of The Blackening immediately. Yeah. I'm anxious about what it's gonna do, because it's a movie about all the tropes and how the horror genre kind of boxes black people in.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's a really funny, good movie, and it does address all of the stereotypes, and it almost takes every check of this is meant to happen, that happens, this is what they say at this point. What they really switch it up, and it's a good movie.
Yeah. I am a bit anxious, as I said, though, that's going to be the future of maybe besides Jordan Peele, who's just making the movies he wants to make, of a mainstream black horror, is that for the next 15 years they're going to feel like, oh, The Blackening was so good, so we're gonna keep making these movies about tropes instead of telling stories. I don't know, because we don't have a sample size yet, but that's one, I guess, anxiety that I have from The Blackening.
I don't think that would happen, but it would be interesting to see. I don't think it would happen. I think it would be nice if they did something like a Truman Show vibe of you being stuck in the Blackening and they're questioning if this is reality or if this is, and them reenacting like, okay, perhaps this is what you would do in a scary movie. I don't know. I think like that might be a nice twist for that. Like, perhaps they're trapped in like a virtual reality, or like I don't know.
That could be cool. That could be something. And weirdly enough, I see Jordan Peele making that. Like, weirdly enough.
Or Black Mirror or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Could be done.
Yeah. Do you want to ask me anything?
Well, actually, you asked me how my journey to film started. Like, what movies made your journey start in any, or directors?
Movies. I think the earliest memory of a movie that I know changed everything for me was Kill Bill, and I was, I think, 12, 13 at the time, and I'd never seen, because I just grew up watching Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and even Arnold Schwarzenegger, and what's the Rambo guy called? Sylvester Stallone. So so it was all typical, men buff and muscled, and or not even Jet Li and Jackie Chan were not necessarily muscle, but they were just men sort of doing all of this craziness. And then I see Kill Bill, and I was not expecting that. I was not expecting Uma Thurman to be this blonde, blue-eyed white woman doing all this craziness. And the way the film was shot was so beautiful. Like the storytelling, the infusion of like manga or like anime, and just the storytelling, just the narration of itself, and the chapters and the fighting, the shots, the point of view shots where it's Uma Thurman's vision, and it was just I was just blown away. Like, wow, this is beyond. So that was one of the first movies that really blew my mind, and I was like, okay, I'd like to do this. Sin City is another interesting one, just the way it was shot, and the first one particularly. I just really enjoyed that movie, and every time it's on, I make sure I watch it. And I think I really enjoyed Gossip Girl, and I enjoyed One Tree Hill a lot.
I love One Tree Hill.
Yeah, I missed classes for One Tree Hill. Like
It was wonderful.
It was such an emotion, and I felt like I was there with them. Like I felt like I could relate with the characters so much, and so those two shows especially, because also coming from Nigeria, like a lot of our TV shows back then, I'm not sure about now, they wouldn't progress past a certain age. So if the characters started at maybe 8, 9, 10, once they got to 13, they'd reboot the whole thing over again, and it'd be a new cast. Like we never really got to see older teenagers experience things. So when I'm 16, 15, 16, and I see One Tree Hill, Gossip Girl, I'm like, wow, this is like aspirational, because obviously they're very wealthy, and One Tree Hill was just dark and deep, and I could finally feel like there were things that I could see that I was going through. Obviously, it was very exaggerated on One Tree Hill. Also, Skins was another beautiful one. And
How do you feel about the OC? Is that in the list?
I never saw the OC.
The OC is my favorite because I've seen all of those shows. I adore One Tree Hill. I like Gossip Girl. It falls off a bit in later seasons, in my opinion. So does the OC. But the OC is the one that really stands out to me, and that's what it. I mean, I wasn't the age you were back in the early 2000s, because I think
You were like 6 or something.
yeah, I was 3 when the OC first came out, which is insane to think about. But I have seen it, since, and probably like 10 years after those shows ended, I started watching them, and it did exactly the same thing for me, because I love coming of age stories. I mean, it's not really coming of age; it's more like campy teenage, like melodrama. But I love those stories, both on the small and big screen. So like, I also love versions of those stories in movies too. So I don't know, like the Mean Girls, Clueless, 10 Things I Hate About You.
And I saw Mean Girls very late in life, but 10 Things I Hate About You, I saw that. But I saw Mean Girls like I was in my 20s when I saw Mean Girls, and then I obviously one of the best teenage movies of that. Yeah, but what else again? I was gonna say some other movies or TV shows, but it's just Matrix. Yes, that was another beautiful one. That's the one I watch every single time it's on TV, because it's just phenomenal, and awesome. So talk about your content now that you create, like why it started. What is your goal with that?
My goal with it is to get more experience and to grow as a film writer, and maybe sharpen my ideas, because I think I would like to write. I'm interested in criticism as a career, but I'm not strictly interested in that, and this year will be a good year for me to figure it out, as I'm in film school. But I'm also interested in production, so it's a twofold thing. I get to review new releases, and so grow as a writer, but also show that or build an understanding of what works and doesn't work in movies, and what kinds of movies I would like to produce in the future if that ever becomes an opportunity. So by watching more movies and writing about them and thinking critically about them, and obviously engaging with other people about them, like you and a bunch of other film Instagram accounts have also been in touch. That I think is making me grow. So that's my main objective, and I'm continuing to look for opportunities, going to festivals. Now I'm gonna go to the BFI London Film Festival, and that's exciting. Screenings start on Monday with the Royal Hotel.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of the director, but it's the same person who directed The Assistant in 2020 with Julia Gardner. And I really like her as a director. So, like, to get opportunities like these, which I only got because I went out on my own and created my own platform, that is making me better in every single aspects of, film careers that I would like to pursue.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've had to learn is, it's important to be able to create your own platform, and things can sort of pop up from there. And I think even back in the day, the successful people, they did the same thing, but I don't think they were sharing it. They weren't sharing it as much. And so, particularly me growing up in the 90s, where the goal is, just get a job with anyone that's already established. You don't necessarily think about creating. For you, it must be different because your time, everyone's creating something. But for me, when I was growing up, is someone will hire you and you work for them. And I think it's important to be able to just create what you want instead of waiting for someone to hire you to work with them, because there are so many. You can still work with them, but you can still have your own thing that you do, and you're able to work with other people. You're able to create what you want to create, and you got that experience that you can use to perhaps get an even successful or very good client or what. But I just think it's important to be able to, especially when you're in this field and you're creating content, it just starts from what you can do, and the possibilities are limitless. So now let's talk about the film club. So I started the film club called the Real Visions Film Group, and the goal is just have a hub where people can come together and we can talk about movie, we can do live screening of a movie, have conversations with the actors and directors afterwards. I'd like to have quite a big ambitious plan with the film club, but obviously it had to be moved for a couple of reasons. And now I'm happy you're around, Joe, so we can get this ball rolling. And do you have any film club that you're a part of or you created or anything like that? I'm in a book club. That's as much as
I'm in a book club. Yeah, because I'm currently at King's, and I joined a film related society, which is the Film Society, and I'm in a book club as well. Yeah. And I haven't even met with them yet, but it sounds like a really beautiful place to go. Like, I spoke to the president of the film club at my university, and he's a very passionate person who wanted to talk about movies. We spoke about Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Have you seen both?
Yeah.
I've seen Oppenheimer.
Wait. I mean, here, you live in London, and the BFI IMAX shows it in 70mm IMAX, which is such a rare. There's 20 70mm. No, this is not a real statistic, just as a disclaimer. But there's 20 70mm IMAX screens in the whole world or something. There's barely any, and one of them is in London. So
where you saw it?
I saw it
there
in that format, and
nice.
I saw it for the first time not in IMAX, but the second time I saw it. So that way, and it blew me away. Still prefer Barbie, but but
I did a review of Barbie. I don't know if you knew. Yeah, but it was really interesting. I think people were expecting me to bash it because it did really well. the engagement, it did really well. I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
No. I'm just saying that we talked about those movies and the experience of watching those movies, and we also clashed because I am a big fan of Sofia Coppola.
Yes.
And he wasn't.
Oh.
Yeah. So we talked about it quite peacefully. We just had different opinions on her movies. Also, she's coming to London. I mean, she's not coming to London, but her movie is Priscilla, and that's going to be exciting. I think it's screening for the press on Friday.
Okay.
So that's going to be exciting. But I got an opportunity to talk to him, and I was like, oh, that could be a good space. And they do screenings and filmmaking sessions. where you get to learn more of the filmmaking process and make movies of your own through the society. So it's a good place, and film clubs can be like very rewarding and community building. So I'm excited to also be a part of the one that already exists, but create a new one of my own.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. That's why I'm happy to do this. I'm happy to have you join me in this, and the possibilities are limitless. And I'm trying to get a lot of collaborations with cinema houses. Rich Mix is one of the top ones.
Oh, I love Rich Mix.
Yeah,
I went recently to see Past Lives.
so, yeah, I've
That's
got
great.
good engagement with Rich Mix, and they're talking about me curating content. But anyway, I could talk to you about that afterwards. And yeah, so yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm happy you're finally in London, and we can get this ball rolling, and we can work on the film club, and yeah. Uh, any closing remarks? Anything you'd like to say?
Well, watch Past Lives if you haven't seen it.
What's that?
It's a recent movie by Celine Song, starring Retta Lee and Till Yu and John Magaro. It's written and directed by Celine Song, not just directed. And it's the new movie. I mean, it's more of a brand than anything, but it's the new movie by A24 about two childhood sweethearts who meet 24 years after they get separated when the girl leaves Korea to move to Canada, and they move they meet each other in New York 24 years later over the course of 2 days. And it's a very touching movie about destiny, and how our lives just are drawn in unexpected ways. And they use this metaphor of the inyon, which is a concept in Korean, I guess, spirituality, which is basically we have an inyon, people have an inyon, which is basically a connection between two people. And if you even so much as graze each other's arms, it means you were something to each other in a past life. And so it just it is a movie about what ifs and about the choices that we make and how those choices make us who we are. And we can live with the regrets of the choices and the people we've left behind, but it's a movie about moving forward and reckoning with those choices. And I adore it. It's the best movie of the year, in my opinion.
Wow.
And many people agree with me, actually.
Is that Past Lives?
Yeah.
Nice. That's interesting. However, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that. Okay, so if you're talking about movies that you'd like to see, okay, you mentioned Past Lives. Any movie that you're excited to see?
Well, I'll give you a few if you want.
Okay, go on.
Priscilla,
Yeah, okay.
because Sofia Coppola's back. I'm very excited for that. Obviously, Killers of the Flower Moon, a new Martin Scorsese movie. Then Evil Does Not Exist, which is
That horror.
no, it's It's a Japanese environmental drama
Okay.
by Ryusuke Hamaguchi, the director of Drive My Car.
Okay.
And that sounds exciting to me. And then there's so many people coming back. There's like Richard Linklater made a movie, David Fincher made a movie, Bradley Cooper made a movie. I heard Anna Kendrick's first movie is very good.
Okay.
Correa made a movie. Like everyone, like think of any big director.
The
Like
year is almost over though. Is it this
Yeah.
year or next year?
they're all coming out this year. Even
Oh, wow.
even with SAG and WJ strike, those movies are coming out
Okay.
because they're coming here for the festival.
Okay. It's funny you mentioned SAG. What do you think about the writer's strike? I know I was saying wrap it up, but just quickly.
I fully support the writers and the actors. I think all of their concerns are warranted. They should be paid. They should be respected, especially the writers. Staff writers don't have that many rights on sets, and they are the basis of the work that we see on screens.
As much as I agree with that they definitely need to be paid more, and all the streaming and all of that, there needs to be some sort of way of them just getting rewarded for that, because it's unaccounted for, and the executives are just pocketing all of that. But with the strike going on now, there are people that need work.
That's true.
So as much as it's a worthy cost and it's essential and it's important, it's still stopping some people who need to feed their families from working, and that's the worry that I have.
It is a problem because I don't blame the people who are striking. I blame the studios for this, personally, for not being receptive. Because if you ask any high-level executive at Netflix, Amazon, or Apple, etc., they don't care. And I remember Bob Iger had this very controversial statement saying that he didn't even intend on negotiating anytime soon. So the studios are not really doing the work.
Do you think there'll be any positive outcome to this? Or do you think it's just going to keep going on and on? Do you think there'll be a change? There'll be some sort of new contracts to be drawn up where, our writers are able to... I mean, what about even behind the scenes, the set and all of that? Don't they also deserve all of the work behind the scenes, the set design, what else? All of the other people who are involved in the scene alone. Like they also deserve to get something because everyone's seeing their work and admiring their work. And
did you hear of Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's new production company?
No, I only heard about them working with like Jimmy Fallon or something to pay for something.
Like they and I this is not 100% accurate because I don't remember, but they basically started an equitable film production firm, and all the people working below the line, so the set designer, costume designer, sound people, gaffers, etc., people working below, behind the scenes, get like a piece of the pie when the profits come in.
Yeah, that's a really, really good. That's really, really good. That's a really, really good, innovative idea, and I think they deserve all of that. So this has been a really, really cool episode of the Real Happy Hour podcast. Thank you very much, Joao, for
thank you
appearing. I'd like you to come again many times, as much as you want. And thank you all for listening and for watching. You can please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're listening via any streaming platform, please like, follow, leave a review, and we will be back very, very soon. Anything to say? I have 1 minute left.
No, that's it. Follow at Do the Right Film as well if you want.
Awesome. Yes, please. Your social media handle.
Yeah, at Do the Right Film.
Awesome. Yeah. And we will be back again. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.